We're going to let her roll.
Yeah,
you get 4 seconds to take a picture. Yeah.
I wasn't gonna stop and talk to you guys. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I was gonna tweet some stuff out, but you keep talking about me.
I don't know how to take that. I wasn't going to stop by. I'm sorry.
Well,
I didn't mean to stop by. I wasn't going to come see you.
Look, the first 5 or 6 pictures I took. Look at them. I wish this was video.
Yeah.
They're all in. They have a little. Okay, I'm explaining this. They have a TV screen here that advertises who they are. These fellas.
It's going too fast, is what you're telling me?
Because of the lighting in here, my phone didn't want to.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Great. We're looking forward to meeting with you.
My phone didn't want to focus in this light, so I get these.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Like I don't know how to take pictures.
Yeah.
Finally, now look at that one. It's a halfway transition.
That is it, yeah.
Right, I can tweet these out as blooper. Look, I finally got one, but it's not in focus. I finally just took it.
Yes.
A little fast.
So if you just hold the camera button down and let it do burst mode, and then search through 900 pictures to find the one, you'd be good to go.
I'm going to tell you, that would be faster and easier. It would be.
Probably so.
You guys have some great slides, though. I love the little.
Do we?
I love them. I got to drink more coffee to read them.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to probably should have been 10 seconds. 10 seconds is
10
a
seconds
long time.
long.
That's a long time.
It's Prezi, which is a wonderful online,
This is a Prezi. Oh,
it's just a Prezi in full mode.
It doesn't look like Prezi.
Now it's a custom one. I just, I deleted everything I didn't want.
Good for you.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a Prezi. So, free publicity. So how was the opening, the keynote? Was it great?
Eric Jensen?
Yeah.
I like Eric Jensen. I like his stuff.
Yeah.
There are things I always have more questions about.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it, and I'm just going to say this out. Y'all know me, right?
Hey, you're going to say, that's why we like to have you on, Ginger, because we know you're going to say what you're thinking.
Doesn't
Good,
mean
bad,
it's
or
right.
ugly.
I'm
but it
trying
doesn't
not to go
matter.
ugly with it,
We have a
but
president that does that. What are you worried about?
oh, easy. We just straight comparison there.
No, I'm just saying.
Okay, so anyway, your thoughts.
Before I run away.
Jiminy Cricket, what are you doing, man?
I apologize.
No, it's okay.
I just meant we can say whatever we want to now.
Yes, we can now. Whatever. No, we can't.
It's America.
Oh, Lord. Anyway.
Help me.
Eric has really compelling stuff. His style is always terrific and amazing and engaging and exciting. His data is just impeccable, so you can't deny what he has to say.
Right.
And I can't deny it. There's no but coming.
Okay.
I always have questions, though.
Right,
Because in
right.
an hour-long keynote, he can never really get as in-depth as
Sure.
I am sitting there going, yeah, but what about? Because I live in a world of yeah, but.
Right.
Tell me a reality, a truth, and I'll be like, yeah, but what about this?
Sure.
I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I'm just curious. And it seems to be a lot of his work, he uses the phrase, want our students to be successful.
Yeah.
I want to know what his definition of success is because it smells a whole lot like test scores.
Ah.
And I don't personally use that as my definition of student success.
Sure,
and
right.
so then that makes me wonder if all of his effect sizes are
Yeah.
moot at this point.
Right.
And I don't want it to be. I
Sure.
like what he's saying.
Sure.
And I think that there's a huge validity. I just have questions that I just need to shut up and read books of his and go deeper. Tweet him, ask him questions, rather than go on a radio show and bash him.
Well, that's and
bashing him,
I was
I'm
just saying
just
you've done a
questioning.
great job of not bashing. You're just expressing the questions and
Yeah.
concerns that you have.
I mean, who the hell am I to say that he's not?
Well,
Are you kidding me?
here's
No
the
way.
thing though. You did a perfect job, at least from my perspective, of the qualifying disclaimer that this was an hour-long keynote,
Yeah.
and so it could very well be that in the scheme of this keynote, that's sort of the message that was conveyed.
Right.
But in the scope of his research, that's not really where it comes from.
That's
it just so
right.
happens that's the way it came across.
I wish others would give the latitude to all keynote speakers
Mm-hmm.
to say, wow, that little soundbite that you put up there, that one, your whole thing is a piece of crap because of that
Yeah,
one thing.
right.
Is easy.
Yes,
Maybe
yes.
you needed to ask a question out loud.
Right, yes,
to,
exactly.
To the person who's saying it, not
Yes,
to
or
someone
maybe
else.
come find me and ask
Yeah,
me.
that would be a
and,
good thing.
Instead of tweeting out, this is a bunch of BS.
That's
you
right.
know.
Not that I've ever had that happen to me.
Yeah. I can't imagine anybody would do that to you, though.
No, no. I'm gonna walk out on a limb. I'm always safe.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. How about that limb you're walking on there?
Yeah, it ain't no redwood,
Yeah,
no sequoia.
no, that's-
It's more like a red bud.
Yeah,
I'm trying to walk
Charlie
out on.
Brown Christmas tree. What
That's
you're
right.
walking on there?
400 pound bird up in that Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Ain't so safe.
Oh my gosh,
Anyway.
that is hilarious.
Anyway, you guys have some good lineup today?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who
we've
are we
already
gonna
had a
listen
couple.
to today?
We actually Dr. Steve grabbed the chairs even before we opened up the
You're
air.
talking Steve Wyckoff?
Yes.
Of course he did.
Yes.
You know,
and,
imagine working with him every day.
Oh, I can't.
Well, according to him, it sounds like he's golfing most of the
Yeah,
time.
that's
I
true.
was, as I said that, I was like, how would you imagine working with him every half day?
Yes, yes.
Because he does. That's
He even
not a lie,
openly
yeah.
admitted, he said,
Yeah.
if the sun is shining and it's above 50 degrees and I'm not already at work, then don't call me. You know,
Yeah.
It's
a
a
real
nice
thing.
place to be.
Yeah, I
you
needed
know.
to call him the other day because I actually needed to talk to him for a real thing. And, I called. He answered. He's on the golf course, though, but he answered.
Yes,
He's working.
hey,
Yeah.
It's just...
That's right.
He's meditating.
Actually, he's a different guy now that he's really begun seriously playing golf.
Really?
He says he started it. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. Because of, what's the guy's name? Shank. Roger Shank's work
Oh,
that talks about cognitive thought processes and about how you can be a better whatever you want to be, following certain questions and thinking about certain things and metacognition skills. And so he said, I want to be a better golfer. So he took his girl out, Becky, and they would golf, and he would, okay, now after this, and he would run through these questions not only for himself, but for her. After a while, he reports that she was not so pleased with the constant barrage of Shankisms. And,
I just want to play golf.
that's right. And he said, and his self-reports back is that, of course, his scores got significantly better
Huh.
using that self-reflection metacognitive. Well, of course,
Well,
right?
you're self-reflecting, so.
But it's a physical skill
Yeah.
Sure.
that he's thinking about
Right.
that's still improving.
Yeah,
Yes.
In the music world, forever we call it practice.
Yes. I think he gave
Touche.
it a cognitive
It's really
reason.
weird, but after like 5 days of practice, I'm better at that piece
Yeah,
of music than
right,
I was
yes.
when I first started it.
Well, okay, that's not always true, though, because if you think about what you're doing versus just
Oh, no, that's
sitting there
true.
plunking the notes out.
Yeah, I mean, I can teach.
Yeah, I can
monkeys
attest to that.
stay on the valves.
I can attest to that.
That was me.
I had
Yeah.
piano lessons for many, many years, and
That really
I
got better,
no.
me neither.
Yeah.
Don't give me a keyboard
You have
unless
to
it's got
relate to
letters.
the art.
Yeah.
And that's true about a sport. I'm not sporty.
Okay.
I was telling Dr. Steve, I have a set of golf clubs that are like some Sam Sneads from the pawn shop
Oh.
that I carry with me with my other clubs because they're the ones I throw and I bash against trees.
So you're a physical golfer.
I'm a physical
You really get into the game.
He's
I'm also
an
very
ex-golfer.
verbal, but we can't-
That's right.
Ex
very
Games
verbal,
golfer.
But that's a different show for a different
I gotcha.
right.
Gotcha. Hey, so by the way, I totally was thinking of you, Jeff, on the when the kids were there playing.
I
And,
heard
and
good little brass group.
it was.
Yeah.
And I almost tweeted out a magnificent brass quintet, and then I realized there's 2 saxophones up there, and I
Oh,
didn't
was
want to
there?
sound like a moron.
Yeah.
So I
Cool.
couldn't say brass.
They're
I didn't know what to
actually-
call them.
They're a brass woodwind. They're created by Adolph Sax. And they're made of brass, but they're a woodwind.
Right.
So, it
We
was
still call them brass? And that sort of
No,
set.
they're a woodwind, but
Right.
you
So
never
how
read.
would you name that?
That group up there
Yeah.
was just a wind ensemble.
Oh,
A
that's
small
way
wind
too
ensemble.
many letters for a tweet.
Yeah.
And
Not anymore.
But as I was sitting there, I thought, I was listening to it, and of course they were great, which allowed me to really think about what, I was like, what an engineering marvel has happened over the centuries. I mean, they're up there playing an instrument that's how many years old,
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
right?
Well,
Hundreds.
the French
Hundreds
were-
or
yeah,
more.
Hundreds, yeah.
Right. And who are the first people? Because if you asked me to create an instrument, like my engineering, my STEM background,
Right.
right? Now Ginger build a new instrument that has never existed. Oh, I don't have hundreds of years to make something that
Right.
sounds freaking beautiful like
Right.
that.
Think
Yes.
about that. I mean, think about the French horn. If we were to take it all round up and stretch it out, it would go from there all the way down to there. It's huge.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, it's massive. It's
No
like
way.
It's like 60 feet. Well, so it's not all the way down. But
Really?
Yeah, because it's all wound up in there.
Well, I can
and
see
it's,
that.
It's literally 2 different horns. There's a button here.
Yes.
There's an F side and a B flat side. So you actually switch between them. But here's what's crazy about French horns.
It's engineering here, guys. We're talking engineering and education.
The rotary valves,
Right. Right.
still use string
What?
to move them. Yes, a French horn to this day.
Yes, I've
still
seen
has
those.
string.
Yeah.
So we're still the same thing that's making beautiful music that we've been using for 100 years. It's no different. It's like what we're doing here. All of this technology is useless without the 3 of us using language to talk to it. It's really great. But
Yeah.
I love instruments. You know, this year one of my favorite things that happened at the Bands of America National Championship marching in Indianapolis. They have these plastic trombones and plastic trumpets now. And
Printed?
Printed. And so
What? Like full size?
yeah, real live. I bought my wife one. She's a trombone player, so I bought her an orange one to match her school colors at Queen City, Texas.
That's
Give them a
full
shout out
size.
there. Yeah, trombone, and it plays and so here comes one of the large bands from, I think it was from Frisco, Texas. I think there was a band that played it, and they come out and every trombone player, they pull up these black cloths and there's these bright green, lime green trombones, and like 30 kids pull up trombones and go, you know, start playing these plastic trombones.
That's freaking cool.
Freaking cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
$80.
Hard to bend them.
Well,
How many times have
$80.
you seen a bell bent?
Right.
And it affects the sound?
Well, a slide trombone, a trigger trombone is going to cost you anywhere from $800 to $2,000, $3,000.
And this is 40.
It's $80.
80.
$80 though. With $80 a kid can go on Amazon in 3 days, have a trombone, and play it. So we're getting to the point now where
I
our
could play it.
technology.
I could make some noise.
Yeah.
Now, does it have a plastic mouthpiece?
Yeah.
Because those are a big deal, the mouthpiece.
Yeah, it's plastic mouthpiece. This is a complete.
I want one.
Yeah,
I freaking want one.
they're awesome.
That's way better. Can you imagine? Do you remember? Okay, what year do we all do the recorder? Like 3rd grade, right?
Yeah.
I can tell when it's recorder season in our neighborhood.
Orph could die, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm laughing. My husband's like, "What the heck is going on?" My husband's not an educator; he doesn't get it. And I'm like, "Oh, somebody's teaching recorder. What if they were trombones?"
Right. Our trumpets, like I said, they're making trumpets, and they're making flutes, and they're starting to 3D printing has come to the point.
So flute should be easier. I mean, you got to seal it.
Yeah, that's it. It's got pads on it.
Right.
That's where it gets expensive. Is when you have to start adding pieces to it.
Yeah.
A trombone and a trumpet are just moving parts that fit into each other and
Right.
you knock it out. A French horn's hard.
Sousaphone.
Yeah, French horn's a lot of tubes.
Yeah. It'd be hard to print too.
yeah.
Maybe. It'd just be layered. So you mentioned a shout out to Queen City. You know, I've been to Queen City.
Have you really?
I have. And I know a teacher there who teaches there.
Oh yeah.
Misha Duke. She's an English teacher.
Yeah, I know who that is.
Yes. She used to teach in
I
Atlanta.
had to think. Yep.
Yeah. That's
Yep. Well-
Queen City. It's not very big.
No?
They came in 4th out of 196 3A schools in the marching UIL this year.
Really.
Here in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome just 3 weeks ago.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
my
cool.
wife's the junior high band director there, so she's the feeder. She's the feeder program. She gets them all in and moves
That's a
them to the
big
high school.
deal.
It's fun.
You know,
She
because
likes it.
sometimes there's some junior high teachers who get a little militant.
Yeah.
Because, you know, high school bands really are a military band. And it's all about the discipline and the structure
Sure.
and the precision, right?
Yeah.
It really is. And some of the junior high, I've seen them, want to bring that down to junior high. Well, junior high kids aren't ready for that yet, and they drop
Right.
out.
Yeah, the biggest thing with her is the consistency of sit up straight in your chair, keep your feet flat on the floor. You
Yeah.
know, we're all going to play together, and
Yeah.
you just train them. I was one of my favorite teachers who taught me, who still teaches in my district. He taught career orientation. I took him in 1982, and he still
How
teaches.
old are you? Were you in kindergarten?
I'm 48. So.
Oh, all right,
yeah.
all right.
So,
You carry that age well, by the way.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
I am.
Yeah. I'm the same age. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that in
Clean
there.
living over here.
I guess.
You have had a different.
I look like
no?
I'm 65. I know. Believe
No,
me.
you don't. Okay.
But, yeah, but no, anyway, he's taught junior high his entire career, 44 years, I guess it is. And he always says junior high is when they start to smell themselves. But I mean, but you know that is that time.
That's better than starting to feel yourself.
Well,
Think about what you
Yeah.
go through between
Yeah.
6th grade and 9th grade.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, that's
You're a whole different
that's
person.
a hard time for a kid.
Yeah.
It really I loved it because they would leave in the 7th grade, and I wouldn't see them for the summer, and then they'd show up for summer band, and they grew a foot.
Oh yeah.
Or they look
Yeah.
completely different. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, you dropped 40 pounds and the baby fat's gone and it's really it always shocked me. those 4 years are always, well, what are they going to look like when they come back this year? You know.
I taught middle school, and kids would come back as sophomores. I taught to 8th grade, right? 2 years later, they come back. I'm like, I don't even know who this is. Oh, hey!
Yeah.
You know, because okay, go ahead and talk. I still don't know your voice.
Yeah,
Yes.
wild.
You know,
Yes.
even a girl.
Yeah, and that's that. And think about that. That's just the physical, the emotional, and the mental.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that sometime lately about here now is we were talking about what kids go through with this constant bombardment of information
Yeah.
at that age. And I saw you guys were talking yesterday about YouTube and 13-year-olds, and we agree completely. You know, there is this, and that's what we're talking about. There's some things on YouTube that kids earlier than 13 are probably already having to deal with a lot in their lives.
Yeah.
They don't need to see more bombardment of it.
Yeah.
Or be dealing with it,
Or to at least look at it in curiosity and now think it's more normalized. That
Right.
that's something that we do. That's what we, you know, if you grow up with the rotary telephone, as our grandparents didn't, but we grew up with it, it's not a big deal.
No.
You grew up with the cell phone as we didn't, and now, you know, it's not a big deal. So now if we grow up with accessing whatever visual we want to have or don't want to have, that's normal. And, you know, yeah. Yeah, there's a YouTube. What's it? The name of it there? I'm missing it.
Yeah, I have to look at it.
YouTube itself is fixing some things, but is it YouTube Junior or?
Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
what Kevin had put down. Yeah,
Yeah.
YouTube Junior.
Oh, YouTube is not fixing some things. YouTube is breaking many things.
Well, but they're
It's a-
trying
it's
to
a-
clean themselves up. I should
They
say.
they are, but that is a whole.
You don't trust it?
Well, you know, I post content almost daily on YouTube,
Right.
and used to
Right.
monetize my videos as a way to supplement income on YouTube.
Sure.
And as a content creator and provider, YouTube has killed those of us that are small and attempting to grow through all of this kind of demonetization, and they rely way too heavily on artificial intelligence to learn and correct itself instead of the people that it takes to look at all that data and go, yeah, this might make sense in a world of ones and zeros, but in a world of gray matter, no, this is not the way this works. And I think eventually, will they be able to fix some things? Yes, I'm sure they will, but I think it's going to take much longer, and I think it's going to take something, frankly, in the terms of digital content, it's going to take something catastrophic before YouTube and Google wake up to what's happening.
You think so?
Yeah, I really do. I truly think it's going to, and unfortunately, in my brain, catastrophic is going to be that because of the way they rely on the AI to govern their algorithms, I think it's going to be either, I mean, I told you catastrophic here, so it's either going to be death of people because of what's going on, it's going to be some kind of a child involved issue that happens. It's going to be, and no, we can't just point at YouTube and say, well, it's YouTube's fault this happened. No, I get that. But by the same token, that is the vehicle for which whatever this catastrophe is going to be is ultimately going to be out. I mean, you've got advertisers that are pulling for all kinds of reasons that may or may not make any logical sense whatsoever. You have those of us that are content creators who we're trying to support the platform, and we're even trying to follow the rules, but the rules are not solidly defined, first of all, and then they change, I mean, really almost with every breath that we take. And so we try to fit in the box that Google and YouTube want us to fit in, but we don't exactly know what the dimensions of that box are, and they keep changing the dimensions of the box as we're trying to put the stuff
Aren't we really
in
seeing
their
that
box.
everywhere right now?
And it's totally insane.
Even this year, I instituted heavy safe search, which means
Yeah.
that all of my educators, all of our staff, well, no, just the educators and the administrators, when a video comes up, if it's blocked, but we have the ability to approve it
Right, because you're
for
human.
our domain.
Sure.
Yeah, and then so I turned it on super top secret safe search, so there's no dirty rap lyrics, there's no girls in bikinis. I mean, I thought, well, let's just do this because that way I'm not stifling the creativity of a teacher in a classroom and goes, well, I really wanted to show this Beowulf one, but it has some violence in it. So, but they can now go and go click approve. Okay, now all the students can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
And that works as long as the results coming back are actually safe,
Correct,
search,
exactly.
filtered, and correct.
Right.
The problem that they're having with
Filters go
YouTube
down,
Kids
filters
is that there are videos out there that are very appealing to children and look like they are kid-oriented videos
Yeah.
and aren't even close. I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking about, you're talking about people who are beating kids. You're talking about cartoon characters who are now, they take cartoon characters and they turn them into live action characters, which that's a thing. They're getting into costumes and stuff, but then those characters are having sex
Yeah.
on the video, or
Yeah.
not really sex. I mean, it's YouTube,
Yeah,
so it's.
I see
But
what you're saying.
they're fighting, and so you have these non-kid friendly videos who are, or were,
Wow.
passing through all of those filters because, according to the computer, well, they look like they're family friendly. They look like they're child safe from the ones and zeros side of things. But you get a human to look at it and go, oh, hell no.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. Back in 2003, 2004, I used to have students who. Can I go ahead and name the things that the kids shared with me?
Sure, good,
Right.
yeah.
Because sometimes we don't always want to give away all the secrets
Sure.
and tools. But Happy Tree Friends.
Yeah.
Right, I had students who came up to me and go, oh my God, Lewman, look at this, right? Because they thought that it would be fun. And I, of course, am a 14-year-old boy, so it is funny. But we didn't show them in class. I'm like, whoa,
Right.
not a place for school, right? But
Right.
but this is not a new thing.
Right. Oh, no, it's not.
What else? Happy Tree Friends, and there's another. Oh, so I used to look up Ren and Stimpy. I wanted to look up
Sure.
Ren and Stimpy things. There's a whole bunch of Ren and Stimpy that ain't Ren and Stimpy.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's
I
not-
looked at
Right.
that and go, that's not what I wanted to
Right,
see.
exactly.
At all.
Exactly. No, and you're right, it's not a new thing. I mean, I remember back when I first started working at the very first education cooperative where I worked, many moons ago, 20 plus years ago, one of our employees was looking for artwork to put on the annual report. And in the annual report that we had to generate. So they were looking for various pictures, summertime, whatever. Okay, so that's all good. Well, they had learned along the way that, well, I want little pictures. I want thumbnails. So they started looking for summer thumbnails, that type of thing. Okay, so that's fine. It was all, still, again, this is 20 years ago, so it's all good. But they were very clip arty and cartoony, and they would, no, I need something that is more grown up. So I need adult thumbnails.
Oh no,
Uh-oh.
no,
So
Whoops.
yeah.
when someone
It's
searches
funny that
for,
we all three know that.
yeah,
now.
Yeah.
so
but 20
when
years ago you wouldn't
no,
know that.
well, and no,
And you would be
so of course,
horrified.
well, she
Yes.
was. I mean,
Yeah, 'cause nowadays
we
you'd be
heard
like,
her.
Movies, we've seen it, moving on.
Oh, we heard her from across the building
Oh,
yelling and
gosh.
screaming because she flipped out that, I was searching for adult thumbnails. And I was like, why are you searching for adult thumbnails?
Well-
And she explained it. She's, no, this is what I'm doing. I was like, okay, well,
Let's learn better
those
search
two words
tools.
together,
Yeah.
let's talk about how search works. And,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, with YouTube Kids, and of course, the big issue from, again, a content creator standpoint is that you have these advertisers that are now blanketly pulling their ads from YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, that means that those of us putting the content out there that people are wanting to come see,
Right.
we're not getting paid for that anymore.
Yeah.
So, so at that point, do I keep putting content on here for free, or what are the other mechanisms? And that's part of where the education process comes in. What are the other mechanisms for generating revenue, because you're not going to make money on YouTube? Yeah, the people that are already making the millions, and yes, there are those examples who float in and they're brand new and in 2 years they've got,
Yeah.
1 million subscribers and they are making the money.
Right.
That works for them. But, there are a lot of folks out there who, we have small channels, we're trying to grow, we're trying to build that online presence, and YouTube's just not cutting it.
Yeah.
But
So Kevin Honeycutt had tweeted out a couple of things. JuniorTube EDU. If you
Oh,
go
uh-huh.
at JuniorTube EDU, that's a great. It's not YouTube. It's
Right.
it's a different. It's
Mhm.
different, and it's for kids. He also tweeted out that Google-owned YouTube boots over 50 channels to clean up kids' content.
Right.
Well, 50 channels sounds great until you start realizing how many channels there would be on YouTube, and you're like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50 out of 42 million.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Your
well.
small percentage.
You know.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
But
your 0.0.
at least they booted 50. Now, the problem with that is also they booted 50 channels, and of that 50, how many were actually legitimate that were just caught up in the sweep? So now you have, okay, these 50 were knocked off, but of those, let's just say for the sake of argument, even 10% were actually legitimate, so they had to come back. So, oh, really, it was 45.
Do you don't think
You know.
50, they could have looked at it with human eyeballs, that they did that
exactly.
automatically?
Probably.
I mean, it's a great first effort. Don't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, put more human eyes on it.
Yeah.
Because there are people who don't mind, I mean, well, I won't say they don't mind, but they wouldn't mind getting a job
Right.
for
Yeah.
staring at things, or just checking.
Right.
I'm reminded recently, I probably can't talk about it out loud, an episode of Silicon Valley where a fella it went along with their hot dog or not hot dog app. Have you seen that one? Yeah, I still have that app on my phone because it's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Because I'm again a 14-year-old boy, but one of them had a job where he had to make sure that certain types of pictures weren't going through. Somewhat related to hot dog or not hot dog sort of scene,
Yeah.
but it had to have human eyes on it.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
It's coming back to humanity and technology.
Right, yeah. Ultimately, when it's all said and done, no matter how advanced technology gets, there has got to be a human sitting there somewhere, and I say a human very loosely. Obviously, it would take more than one, but in this particular case, but to monitor what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean,
So do you think this is a shift in? This happens throughout history all the time.
Sure.
Prohibition. You just go ahead and take a look at. This happens. We either is the shift now that content has gotten to be so great that now we decided
massive.
It's a massive influx of it that we have to do something about it, or has the social with everything else that's happening in the country right now, Matt Lauer, that kind of stuff. Are we seeing a shift in social trends towards let's get a little more conservative in our thought towards sexuality and what we're seeing and what our kids are seeing and what we're talking about? You see what I mean? Or is it's just a perfect storm and they both have happened at the same time? Did one cause the other? Or because look what we're seeing now with the sexual harassment and the whole bit that it's very prevalent, and now this and did that cause it? Did we generate it? Because we have been pretty loosey-goosey for the last several decades in what we're, and I shouldn't say loosey-goosey. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech, and in this country, that's
Well, I'm going to push a little bit because I think you're pushing two concepts together on that. The concept of sexuality, Americans, we like to say, have always been more conservative than the rest of the world in terms of sexuality, and that's really not true.
Right.
If you look back at history, in the 20s, no. There are things that were just regular, common, everyday occurrence in the 50s and 60s that today would be a huge problem. And I'm not saying harassment. I'm talking about this is what was on TV. Go ahead. Go back and look at those old laugh-in.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Sure,
Oh, yeah.
right.
And that would never hit prime time today.
Oh, think about the stuff they used to do on Saturday Night Live and all that. Right,
So let's
exactly.
not say that we've become more
Right.
open. I'd say we've become less open.
Okay.
But then the second issue that I don't want to conflate with this, is that the right word for it? Sometimes I use words that I think that's the right word. I do. I Google them real quick. Crap, was that the right word I meant to say? It felt right. I don't know if it was. Anyway, I think conflate's the right word. Is the harassment piece?
Yeah.
Harassment has always been happening, and to stand right now and say no, we're not going to have this anymore. We don't do that here. Is a different thing. And we are becoming more conservative, if you want to say that, conservative. In not accepting it I don't know if that's a conservative or just a human rights
I don't know
issue.
if we're putting it in the right category. I don't know what the category is for
I don't
that.
either.
Yeah, it's really confusing to me.
And I love that you say it's confusing because it's confusing to me. I think it's confusing to a lot of us, and if it's not confusing, then you're probably missing most of the issue.
Yeah.
I think that, what's her face saying that can people you love do bad things, and can you still love them afterward, is a legitimate conversation. I don't know if that's the right answer. If there is I don't know.
I don't know either. But you've hit a really good one there. That's
has nothing to do with what we're talking, EdTech, but or everything.
Well,
to
but
do
I mean,
with
it's
it.
right.
It's
But
actually
it
back
is.
to the people. There's the thing. We put eyes onto something, And so the three of us putting eyes on, and there's the
Oh, we're going to disagree with what's
Exactly.
acceptable.
There's the false
I know
positive.
you and I, David, will very much disagree
Right.
with those things. What's acceptable and what's not. But there'll be a lot that we do agree on.
But
Sure,
right,
keep talking.
exactly.
Well, no, but in ed tech, we believe in, the way to make sure you don't have a false positive is there's three of us looking at the same thing every time.
There you go.
And so when
There you go.
we're sitting there and the three of us get the same websites and we have a yes or no button. It's going to be interesting to see what that happens, even if we have guidelines, because those guidelines are still interpreted by you and me. And so so we're seeing this societal push. I think I'm very confused by it, but I think it's going to create a yes or no answer, because that's all we humans can really ever deal with. Is in the long run, in every debate, in every argument, you come down to yes or no. This or
No,
that.
I don't think. I think a lot of people
I don't-
do, but I don't think we should.
Well, but I don't think we should either. But we do, as a human
Yeah.
race, we do.
Well,
Because
at least
that's-
as an American.
as Americans.
Yeah.
Well-
Right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, no, I mean,
I'm not. I can't speak for others because I don't know them, but I do know
Right.
America. I think from the inside
right.
out.
But you're right. But see, here we have to have a yes or no, black or white, in or out.
I don't know
wish
though,
we
but you,
wouldn't.
you
I
get
wish we
into. I mean,
wouldn't.
there's an easy. There's to me.
We want it.
I'm
Well,
not
we may-
saying that
we
I-
may
I'm not
want
saying
that.
I like it. I'm just saying that's how this works when it gets to the final say so.
My friend
I
Sylvia
don't know, though.
Martinez
I mean,
talks
there's a-
about
there's
it's
a-
not a binary world.
Well, as I say, there's a very easy counter argument. I'm sorry.
A and B.
I have no idea. There is a.
Down there.
Oh no, it doesn't say that.
It's
It
down
says
there
a-
to the
there's
left,
an
I
arrow.
believe. All the sessions, yes, ma'am.
But there is a. We get that a lot. We
it's
look
okay.
like we're the information booth. I don't know
Well,
what it is.
yeah, the microphones don't
what's
really
funny
look
is
like
We know what
microphones.
we're talking about.
And that's good. You're
look
really nice like
well,
that.
We look like we know what's happening, and I guess that's 90% of our problem is we look like we know what's happening.
That's my problem.
We
And you
generally
look
don't have a
friendly.
clue.
And you look
Is that
friendly.
what it
Even
is?
if
We
you
look
didn't know you look
friendly.
friendly,
Hey,
you look like
looking at us.
jerks.
Yeah, you look like you might know.
I wonder
it.
if you could have like a live button on
Like,
air.
yeah, on air.
Yeah.
It wasn't down there.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry
I
about
have
that.
a map on my app.
Well, okay. So
But what I was going to say was there's an easy counter argument to the whole everything boils down to yes and no, and it's you pick any of the moral dilemma scenarios. You're on a train, and you're the one who's in control of the switch, and you're either going to kill one person and save all the people on the train, or you're going to kill 5 people. You know what I mean? It's one of those kinds of things.
Well, it's
And
also-
there is no yes or no for that. Sorry, there's just not.
What I was getting at is that
Yeah, in America today, there is.
There is, and see that's the thing. The
Because
young
we're losing
girl-
our humanity.
Right.
Well, okay,
we
except-
we like to just the young girl who was sold into prostitution. You heard about all on the West Coast, and she was bought by a man into slavery in the United States, kept in a basement, and then she finally had the opportunity, and she killed him and got away, and she's now in prison for killing him. That's not a yes or no answer.
No.
It's murder, but it's not a yes or no answer. Now it's going to be it's being played out as she murdered somebody, she goes to jail, but it's not a yes or no answer. So I agree with you, but in this country right now, the dilemma we have with everything that's happening is they like to give it a yes or no stamp. Well, I can't. Which stamp do I use? I have to use one of these stamps.
Which team am I going to be rooting for? Because if you're on the other team, I have to root for you to lose, win or lose.
Ginger, you can't stand in the middle of the line. You have to pick a side.
Is it James Paul G talked about the gamer types, right? Wasn't it he who did that? And he talks about the oh gosh, I used to just rattle them off, but one of the archetypes he talked about was the killer. That we had different types, the socializer, the oh Lord, help me with these people.
I remember those.
Yeah. I've only made a few slides and talked to people about them for years. But the one was the killer, which was only 1% of the population, which is I will win and you will lose and we will do this publicly. And is only 1% of the population. And in schools, we're talking about gamification and gamifying marketing. I'm not talking about games-based. That we didn't want to feed the killer because that's not who we wanted to have as a customer. I wonder if we were to look at that data again, if we're a whole lot more than 1% of the population
I agree
now.
with you.
Right.
I think you're exactly.
Yeah.
I preach it all the time. Just 20 years ago, there were 240 million people in this country, and now we're almost 500 million. And it's a numbers game, and that this society has given us a wonderful opportunity of information, and what has happened to that. I mean, you hit on a great point. We see it all. We see it all the time. You know, I'm going to win, and I'm going to make it public, and there's
As
a lot.
publicly as possible.
Right.
And not even go talk to the person, you know, like I was just talking about with Eric Jensen. I could say, I was right,
Right.
and here's where he was
Yes.
wrong, and this
Yes.
is all about student success, and I could be a jerk online about it.
Right.
Or I could be a human and go talk to him and learn more and be curious.
Right.
Our inspired leadership at ESDAC talks about let's lead with curiosity.